Hi, this is Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. So today we are starting on the March Junk Journal project with me, and we are making the envelope, Junk Journaler's envelope and dashboard with goodies. Can't talk today. Junk Journaler's envelope with goodies in it, and then a dashboard. So I think I'm going to do 3 video parts. I've been thinking about, I was going to break it down a little bit more, but then I think the videos wind up really short and then you have to wait for them all to come out. So I think we're going to do the outside and the basic construction of the envelope. And then in the next video tomorrow or the next day, we will do the inside and making goodies, and then we'll have a 3rd video on making a dashboard for your junk journals. So if you purchased the kit, they are in my shop and they've been marked down a little bit, but I'll put the link below. If you purchased the kit, you would have received this semi-glossy, heavy, almost a heavy magazine book page. Each one is different. This is the one I'm using, and I'm going to show you the book. I've showed it before, but I'm going to show it again. It's huge. And I got it at my library for $2.50, which is more than I usually like to pay for a junk journal book if it's not like from the 1800s. But I loved the size of it, and I loved the text, the semi-gloss of the pictures. This is a Southern Living book. It's called Elegance in Flowers. I believe it's from 1985, which is the year I was born. But they're huge pages, gorgeous. I've been ripping out of here to make your kit, so that it's not going to flow cohesively. But I'm just showing you this so you can get ideas of what type of books to look for when you're at thrift stores and libraries. So what I did was I ripped the page out of the book and then I trimmed it to 8 inches wide, and then I left the length, which I would say it's close to 12 inches. I'll measure it for you, just so you know, in case you're not buying the kit and you're still wanting to follow along. Yeah, it's 12 inches. So 8 by 12. You could also take a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper, and then you could just trim it to 8 by 12. And that would work just as well. I just love the gloss of this and how it's kind of like a photograph. So then all I didn't measure this part. I just folded it up till I had a little bit of a flap, and then that flap goes over. Simple. You don't have to worry about all the folding and all of that. And the idea is going to be we can just open it like this and have a whole bunch of goodies. This is beautiful to slip into a junk journal if you're doing a swap, or if you are just creating a heavily embellished junk journal, or actually what would be even better is if you made a naked junk journal and then you slipped this in, and it would have all sorts of goodies. I'm going to show you how I attach goodies into this. So when you open it up, you have a whole bunch of things to use in the journal. It's also amazing for like Happy Mail. You obviously have to put it into another envelope because it isn't sealed shut. Of course, if you wanted to, you could totally seal it shut, and I wouldn't put anything bulky on the inside. But so let's get to decorating. So on this part, like, think of this as an envelope. We're going to have a stamp here, a part where we can address it here, and a return label here. So in your kit, you should have gotten some kind of a stamp die cut. This is the one I have. And then I just like to ink the edge a little bit. And then it will be glued down right there. If you do not have a stamp, a silhouette, or a cameo, or a Cricut, or a stamp die, a hack would be to just cut out a square or a rectangle and then use some decorative scissors all the way around the edge. It could be any kind of decorative scissor just to kind of give it a little bit of that look. Of course, you could just use a plain square or rectangle and that would still look cute. So you could either use a patterned paper. This is kind of a mottled gray looking, but you could either use that. I like to use rather a plain one and then stamp on it. So I have this adorable little heart stamp that Yin-Ya sent me. And she also sent me this stamp, and I'm in love with this stamp. And so these are the ones I'm going to be using on here. I have my favorite Hobby Lobby brown ink Stampabilities. And I'm just going to keep this really muted. And I'm just going to put a heart somewhere on this, like so. And then I'm going to use this little postmark stamp and just kind of half on, half off. And it probably will rub off of the gloss. I'm okay with that. Let me see. Not too bad. Might smudge a little bit. I'm not rubbing very hard. So then in your kit, I have a label. You should have a label like this, and I used a label punch that I don't remember if I got it from Hobby Lobby or if I ordered it from Joann's. But it's very easy to make your own label just by cutting a rectangle and then using your hole punch to just clip off the edges if you don't have like a punch. And then that's going to go here. You can write something on it or just leave it patterned. You can add a little bit of like lace or buttons or trim or something like that as well, just to give it more decoration if you want to. And then I just use a bigger label here at the bottom. So for that label, I'm going to use a piece of this wood background paper from Seneca Pond Crafts. I have it left over from a kit of hers that I used, and so I'm just going to use that. And I'm making the no sew version here with you guys, but there was an option to buy a sewn version in my shop. And if you've watched my channel, then you've seen I have done a sewn version of this before, and I will try to link that in the description box as well so you can see how the sewn version turns out. And pretty much I just stitch all the way around the outside of the envelope, and I stitch around this as well. If you bought the sewn version, all that is pre-stitched for you. Otherwise, you can do it yourself or do what I'm doing, which is a no-sew version. So if you don't have a sewing machine or you don't have the patience, then it will turn out like this. Then you can leave this blank. You can address it to who you're sending it to. You know, you could write Happy Mail to Betty Lou Sue Smith or whatever. So this is how the front will look. And then on the inside, we're going to be adding fabric and other things in the next video, but we're going to do the closure right now. So in your kit, you would have gotten two little punches, like circle punches, but they're like a scalloped edge. These are optional. You can just use buttons, but I'm using these to back the buttons. There's so many different ways to do this. This is just how I'm doing it. My boys are really loud in the background. I think I say that every other video, but you guys ought to know by now. Can't keep them quiet. I try. All right, so then I'm just going to put glue that there, and then this one somewhere, it doesn't really matter where, underneath it on the actual envelope. That's just going to be a background for the buttons. I have two buttons here that Yinya also sent me, and they do not have to match. So they can. They don't have to. I just like buttons that have a little bit of a ridge, and are big enough so that when you put a dot of hot glue here down, you're going to be able to wind the thread around it. And I'm going to do one further step, which is actually sew the button with a little bit of thread so that it looks more finished. So I have a little bit of white crochet, like number 10 crochet thread, and I'm just going to go up, down. You guys have seen me do this before. It is my hack. I don't actually sew them onto the paper. I sew it, knot it, cut it, and then glue it. So that works for me. Grab my scissors. All right, there's one. It just adds more of a finished look. Sometimes I like the unsewn look, and the journal I'm working on right now, I'm not sewing the buttons, but sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It just change it up. So then I stitched that, trim that. Now I have two sewn buttons, and I'm going to glue them onto the scalloped circles. Okay, so I'm just going to use this Dollar Tree, I think it's Dollar Tree. I got it from Yinya, but I've seen it before, sticky glue. And I always prefer hot glue, but it's hard to have my hot glue gun here where I film because it needs to be plugged in and it needs to warm up. So I recommend that you definitely use a hot glue so your buttons stay on. But for the sake of the video, we're going to try this so I don't have to bring my glue gun all the way over here. All right, so then you're going to take your thread, whatever kind of baker's twine, embroidery thread that you want to use. And these buttons are not dried all the way yet, so. And then you just wrap them around in a figure 8 pattern. Yeah, those buttons are not staying yet. But you get the idea. So wrap it around a couple times, and then you can trim it, leave it long. You can secure the end under the button with hot glue, which is what I like to do. And then all you have to do is twist it off, and then you can open your envelope dashboard. And I will go back and use hot glue on these to make sure they stay, so it'll be ready for the next video this week to show the inside. So I hope you enjoy the start of this journey with me. Be sure to purchase a kit if you haven't already, so you can save this video and then follow along. I have decided on the April kit, and hopefully by the end of the week or the beginning of next week, I should have all that video filmed, the not the intro, but like the commercial or whatever for it, and in my Etsy shop and all of that. So I hope you have a lovely day.